Hello, and welcome to week 7 of the UNPL Academy. I'm Zan, the coach of the San Diego Padres, and I just want to win at this point because last week I feel like we got robbed a little bit. If you haven't seen that video, definitely do go check it out. That was a really good battle, even with all the hacks that happened. I think it was a good battle. Our opponent brought some cool sets, and I think it's worth watching, so definitely go check that out. But if you want to stick around and just see this battle of this week instead, let's talk about it. We'll go over our opponent's team really quickly, and then we'll get straight into the battle. So, our opponent this week is JarlTheKing of the Hamilton Tora Cats. There's a dash there. I'm not sure why, but yeah, I'm sure there's a reason. He's 3-3, so we have one win on him, but that doesn't say a whole lot. I've watched some of his battles, and he brings some really good sets, really good prep, and good battling. So he's just, I think he's played some of the best in the league that we have yet to see yet. It's like the top 2 players. So definitely not a 3-3 player. Definitely more of a 4-2-5 win or 6-0 player as far as I can tell. And he's got a cool team too. The first thing I noticed was we have to play King Gambit twice in one season, which I feel kind of good about because at least we have some decent answers to King Gambit, but it's still annoying because he'll see if he decides to watch my old video, he'll see how I prepped for King Gambit in the past, and he'll be able to use it against me. The reason he did that is the coach we played that had King Gambit before quit, and someone else took over their team, reworked it, dropped King Gambit, and then Jarl picked it up. So very threatening Pokemon. Honestly, there's not really such thing as a switch in once it gets to like 4 or 5 allies fainted. So it's a huge in-game win con for him. We're going to try to work around that. He's got the Iron Valiant, another really big in-game win con. Really likes the booster speed, especially against my team because I get a lot of +1 speed that's slightly faster than Valiant. So I think he'll want to run Booster Speed or Scarf, but maybe he decides to run a different set. Maybe he doesn't think he needs the speed, but Kilowattrel is really threatening to him if he doesn't run speed, so we'll have to see. He's got Heatran, the only Fire Steel type, very bulky. Only has a couple of types that really hurt it a lot. And it's pretty good. And then he's got some lower tiers, so those are like his big 3. He's got the Galarian Wheezing, that's actually his only ground resist, or ground immunity, and that's only if it runs Levitate. If it doesn't run Levitate, he doesn't have a single Pokemon that can come in on an Earthquake, especially with his Terras. He doesn't have a single Terra that resists Earthquake. So that's something we're going to try to fully exploit. And then outside of Cyclizar, he doesn't have a single water resist. So nothing on his team, Terra or not, can take water type hits that well. So that's why you're seeing the Pokemon you see on the screen. So we've analyzed his weaknesses. The only other thing I would really say about his team is he has a huge speed gap. So we didn't have to run a lot of investment on our Pokemon like Ninetales that are around that 100 speed because he doesn't have any Pokemon of a speed tier between 77 and 104. So that gives us a lot of wiggle room to add a lot of bulk to our Pokemon. So we're going to take full advantage of that while we can. His 2 Terra Captains are Regice and Delphox. So Regice is Ice, Electric, or Fighting. I think those are really cool types on Regice. It could definitely be strong with any of those, like Ice Beam plus Electric coverage, Bolt Beam, and then Ice Beam plus Fighting coverage is just really strong into a lot of teams. So I could definitely see him bringing that. So other options, Delphox with Psychic, Fairy, and Ground. I don't think Delphox looks as good into my team, but I could be mistaken. I just think Wake always kind of eats it alive, so I'm not incredibly concerned, but maybe a Specs Fairy Delphox could be a problem. His defensive core of Wheezing plus Heatran doesn't really have any reliable recovery. And while he does have the Cyclizar to regenerate, it doesn't really offer anything offensively versus my team. So I'm not super concerned about his defensive core. He's got Swampert as well, but it also can't recover. So it's really just a game of wearing him down before we get worn down. And then his wild card of the week is Hoopa, in my opinion. I think Hoopa's really strong in my team. I could have just brought special defense, Hisswing and Quillfish this week. It was definitely my 7th slot because Intimidate looks good if it's not Defiant King Gambit. But at the end of the day, I decided it was not quite as worth it as the 6 I brought. And because of that, Hoopa is more of a threat to me than it probably should be. So a little nervous about that if he does decide to bring it. We don't have defensive checks. We only have offensive checks. So we're going to have to rely on that a little bit. And then he's got Galvantula if he decides to set webs. So maybe he brings webs versus us. I don't see it, but webs would also facilitate Valiant to actually go off and not have to worry so much about Armons outspeeding it in the sun. So we'll see. But looking at Armons, the first thing I thought looked really good here was Sun. Honestly, I think this is a great Ninetales game, which is not something that I brought very often. And Wake, I thought took full advantage of that no water resistance, because with Dragon Pulse, we're one-shotting Cyclizar most of the time unless it's AV. It shouldn't KO us back with the Draco unless it's like really, really invested. And because of that, we have Substitute. I really like Sub because a lot of the Pokemon we bring Wake in on definitely want to switch out. Things like Heatran and Delphox, they just want to get out. And so we can take advantage, set up a Sub. If he brings in Regice to eat hits with like a Super Spadef Regice, then we can knock it off, get rid of its item if it's AV or something similar. Otherwise, Hydro Steam is the move of choice. We are special attack boosting in the sun. I didn't really see a reason to run speed because the things that revenge Wake are Scarf Cyclizar and Booster Energy Valiant, and they're going to outspeed me whether I get the speed boost or not. So we might as well just have that extra power to break his defensive core wide open. We've got the sinistcha this week. We do have the Rocky Helmet on it. It's just a super solid King Gambit check, and I like it better than Knuckle Stack this week because we can run Terra Water and Scald and just do crazy damage into King Gambit. Might two-shot. It depends on how bulky he makes it. It's a really strong move to click, especially after one Calm Mind. So we're trying to get that up. We want to get a KO as soon as we can so that we can confirm he's not Defiant, so that we can start hitting him with Strength Saps and keeping ourselves alive. But I think Sinistcha just super solid into his team. It once again doubles down on that super water weakness he has. And then we have Matcha Gotcha there. I know that doesn't hit the Cyclizar, which is the only thing we can't hit with Scald. But just having that healing and that burn chance is nice. And it's better than Giga Drain, at least as long as it lands. Ninetales is here. Very similar to the sets we brought in the past. I wanted to bring like a Calm Mind or Nasty Plot set. But because we rely on it so much to set the sun for us, it doesn't make sense to have it be a setup mon, because then we don't want to pivot it out and we can't run Baton Pass. So we might as well run, this is a mix, it's very defensive, but it has like modest nature and some special attack investment. Overheat just does huge damage to everything outside of Heatran and a like AV Swampert. And then we have Scorching Sands to 2-hit KO Heatran and then can burn the Swampert. So I think that looks pretty good as offensive coverage. Baton Pass helps us pivot. I think if I can catch Swampert switching in or Heatran switching in, then that's when we can get Wake in and set up a sub. Or we can get one of our other Pokemon in, maybe Sinistcha to get Terrassalized because we want to do that ASAP. So yeah, I think Ninetales looks good. And then Healing Wish, late game, if we have something get super low like Sinistcha, we can bring it all the way back up and suddenly it's a big problem again. We've got a pretty basic Screamtail this week. Dazzling Gleam is just, you know, Dazzling Gleam. Fairy coverage is pretty good into his team. Heatran obviously walls this thing for days, as does Delphox. But if Delphox tried to set up or do anything cheeky, we can always hit it with an Encore. We've got the Wish to keep our other Pokemon alive, and Baton Pass, because if we can catch Heatran switching in, Baton Pass out, once again, we get Wake in, we scare Heatran away. We've got the Cinderace coming back again this week. Hopefully it lands its Pyro Balls. I wanted to run Will-O-Wisp, I wanted to run U-Turn, and I wanted to run Gunk Shot on this. I thought all three of those moves had their merits. But at the end of the day, I think this is our most reliable set. We've got Pyro Ball, just does huge chunks of damage, especially in the sun. Can burn the Swampert if it's his main switch in. Low Kick just destroys King Gambit no matter what. Does a huge chunk to Heatran. Hurts Regice quite a bit, especially if it's not Terrassalized yet, although Pyro Ball does that too. And Low Kick gives us something to hit Cyclizar with. I don't think it's the heaviest thing in the world, but it's at least a little bit of damage for it. Court Change, I like Hazard Removal on Cinderace this week better than Donphan. I have a surprise Donphan set. So Court Change on Cinderace is just nice if he brings webs. We can at least put them on his side too, and both have to play with them if he gets them back up later in the game. And then Taunt is just really nice if King Gambit comes in, or if any of his like setters come in, I can taunt them, stop them from healing or setting up, you know, anything like that. So Taunt's just a super good utility move into this matchup. And then we've got the Donphan. We've got an AV. Oh, Cinderace was Heavy Duty Boots. Screamtail was Citrus Berry. And then Donphan's AV. Earthquake is the most spammable move I've ever seen into our opponent. Heavy Slam, 2 shots Wheezing a lot of the time. Even though we don't really want to take a burn. So the first time this comes in, the first thing we probably click is Trailblaze, because with Trailblaze, we outrun his whole roster that's slower than base 100, except for Timid Heatran. If he's modest, we always outrun it. That's the benchmark I set. So Trailblaze and then Earthquake knockoff Heavy Slam go crazy into his team. That gets at least 1 KO before it goes down, hopefully. AV with a lot of Spadef investment is just really nice to have. Trailblaze 2-shot Swampert, Heavy Slam for Wheezing, knockoff for Hoopa, and Earthquake for everything else. And I think it looks pretty good. This was definitely one of my faster builds. I definitely could have improved some things, thought about some things a little more, but we're having fun, and I think we have a pretty good chance this week unless he brings out something crazy. But anyway, we'll get right into the battle. All right, and we are back and waiting on our opponent. He said it'd be just a couple of minutes while he's getting ready, so I figured I'd quickly go over the mons we didn't bring. No Slitherwing because it's fully walled by Wheezing, and it just doesn't look great. Like, it can't revenge Valiant because it really, really resists first impression. It kind of just invites Valiant in, to be honest, so I didn't like it in this matchup. No Copperaja, so we did drop Bisharp. We have Copperaja now. Just a more reliable steel type that's not quad weak to fighting, which is nice. Didn't bring it this week. It didn't look that good. Kilowattrel I liked as a revenging... it's a revenging ability into Valiant, but locking into any of its 3 Terra types makes it much worse against something else. Like, Terra Ground looked decent, but I really wanted the Terra Water on sinistcha. Quillfish, like I said, we almost brought. I thought it looked really good into Hoopa and, like, Valiant that's physical, and it looked really good into Kingambit that's Supreme Overlord. Otherwise, I didn't think it looked that good. No Levani this week. It disappointed me last week by missing a 99% accurate move, so yeah, he's on the bench. And then no Knackle Stack. I just like sinistcha better this week as the Terramon, which, unsurprising. I feel like I brought sinistcha, like, what, 5 weeks out of 7 now? And it's Terra'd, like, 4 of them. So, super good Pokemon. I love sinistcha so much. If I had to guess the things he leaves on the bench, I really do think Regice looks better to me than Delphox just because it's a sponge to Walking Wake. Galvantula I don't think looks amazing into me with all my fast offense in the sun. Like, Galvantula does not want to take a fire type move ever. I think Wheezing is pretty much required. Valiant, Kingambit, and Heatran look really good. I think Swampert looks really good into my team. I don't have, like, I have 2 grass types, and obviously sinistcha always comes in on Pert. That's kind of one of the points of it. I don't know. I think it looks really solid as a defensive check into things like Cinderace, Donphan. So definitely could see that coming. If it doesn't, I kind of get it. And then for his final, he could bring like a non-Terra Delphox if he wanted to use My Sun for like sun-boosted fire-type attacks. Cyclizar looks okay just because of its speed tier and its utility, but I think it could facilitate me setting up with a lot of things. And honestly, Screamtail isn't always switch into it, so I'm not super concerned. Even like Banded Ironhead is not doing... I don't think it's doing over half. I didn't calc that, but I think we're fine. And then Hoopa, offensively, like I said, looks great, but I don't know when it's going to get in versus me because we just have so much potential offense outside of Screamtail that can just scare it away. So we'll go ahead and enter this team, hoping for a little bit of fortune. Normally, I don't like when people beg for luck. When it comes to these battles, but at this point I might start doing it because obviously I need the luck. And there's our opponent. Good luck, have fun to Jarl/Blake, according to this. Okay, no Regice. I really did anticipate it as his Wake answer. So now what comes in on water type moves? No Regice, no Hoopa, which honestly, huge relief. That was terrifying to me. No Galvantula, and would you believe it, no Kingambit. So a lot of the prep we made for Kingambit does not matter. At least we don't have to phase it twice. I mean, that's a plus, right? So Delphox can be Fairy, Ground, or Psychic. All 3 of those, this shouldn't have a problem with. Even if it's Calm Mind, we Encore it, and we always outspeed it. So I'm not super worried. Our dedicated lead is Ninetales. If his lead is Pert, we just go into sinistcha. Otherwise, Ninetales looks really good. I guess Cyclizar knockoff would be annoying for us to deal with turn 1. So we could lead sinistcha because that Water Terra is looking fantastic into him. I don't know. Cyclizar is the only one that really bothers me as a lead because it gets rid of our Heat Rock turn 1. I guess we could go Donphan on it though, and the worst case he goes for knockoff into Draco. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yeah, definitely go check out my opponent. I'll plug his channel in the description, as I always do. I think all these draft players deserve a lot of support. I know there's a lot of people that like to play draft. Not as many like to watch it. It's not the most popular to watch, but I think it's definitely worth watching. So Heatran is his lead of choice. Definitely could be rocks. We set up the sun. Is he balloon? I don't believe he's balloon. I will check just to be safe. No balloon, it appears. This music is crazy. I didn't really see what I picked, but apologies. I think it's kind of cool. Offensive Heatran gets 2-shot by Scorching Sands and doesn't ever KO us. So he might try to set rocks here. I think I'm pretty safe to set a Scorching Sands. Adversely, I could switch. I just don't really know into what. I guess I could go Wake. But I think I'm just going to go for a Scorching Sands here. We do outspeed, and we do well over half, so that makes me worried we're going to get 1-shot back. Just sets rocks, which is fine. Does he want to give up Heatran immediately is the question. Because obviously we KO this with a Scorching Sand. His potential switch-ins... I mean, Pert can come in. Wheezing can come in relatively for free. Pert can come in but doesn't want to risk a burn. Neither does Cyclozar. I think Wheezing is the most possible switch in here. But I think what I will do is Baton Pass and try to get Wake in. So we'll see what happens. He's thinking about it, which makes me think he wants to switch. Because Heatran does still have value in this game. And we can court change these rocks to his side if he switches into something. Okay, so he does switch. Nice. So we do get the momentum. So that's a plus. JBL comes in. I don't know who that is. Sorry. It is Wheezing. So I will go for a Baton Pass. Now the question is, does Wake one-shot this? Walking Wake into Wheezing. Galarian. Defensive. In the sun. Hydro Steam to max HP is doing 99 to 117. So that's a really nice switch. I mean, yeah, it's free, right? It's free real estate. Strange Steam is not threatening us at all unless he's like Specs. I could definitely go for a sub here. I am going to show Photosynthesis special attack, and I am going to show leftovers. So if he's Spadef, he takes one and hits me for a big chunk, but we have Healing Wish on Ninetales, so I'm not super concerned. Obviously, Cyclozar can come in. AV is taking, I mean, 33%. We could sub if we really do think he doubles into the Cyclozar. I think I will once. Because I don't think he wants to lose Wheezing. Okay, he stays in. He's not afraid. Probably Strange Steam, if I had to guess. Is Strange Steam, okay. So, now we are a little concerned about getting knocked out. But he would have to have some significant investment to knock us out, because we should be at 75% right now. 257. Yeah, we're at 75% exactly, so I will just go for a Hydro Steam. If he's not going to respect it, that's okay. Maybe he's Utility Umbrella? He is Utility Umbrella. Nice. That's a cool bring. Is he offensive, though? No. Okay, nice. We do eat it, and we do KO him with the next one. Bro, that's such a cool bring. Either he's Utility Umbrella, or he's, like, max Spadef AV, right? So, like, if we do Assault Vest... in the sun... Max Spadef... Yeah, that's the only way he lives that. Let me just see. Utility Umbrella. Oh, no. It has to be AV. Because there's no way that would have done so much. Or so little otherwise. Because I think it still gets the boost in the sun. I actually don't know how Utility Umbrella works. I don't know what I'm talking about. Switches to FTR. The Cyclozar. If it's AV, it takes 33%. If it's not AV, it takes way more. Oh, that is not AV. Oh, man. I wish we were Speed Booster now. So, we are doing big chunks of damage. This definitely threatens a bit with a Draco. We have how many turns of sun left? 3 turns of sun left. We still have rocks on our side. I think Donphan is really free here. Dang, that Cyclozar got destroyed by that water move. That's crazy. Yeah, that couldn't have been like max HP. I'm worried it's like super offensive, but at least we can find out whether it's physical or special when we bring in Donphan. Yeah, this should be a totally fine switch. Obviously, Screamtail's fine here too. But I think Wake is looking like a great Healing Wish target for later in the game. Bring in the fan. What is he? He is U-turn. Alright, how much does that? Oh, that does a lot. U-turn. I didn't see exactly. I know I took Rock's Chip. So a not invested Cyclozar does about 45. And then a max attack Cyclozar does more like 59-ish. This is like a mid-roll. So we can see how invested he is once he goes into something else. Knowing we took 6% off rocks. So 303 is about what we were out. We took about 48. Spurt does come in. Yeah, it's showing like it's off defensive Cyclozar, but it did not eat that Hydro Steam well at all. So if we look at Swampert defensive in the sun, he's not doing anything to us. If he's a water move like Surf, yeah, he's not hurting us really at all. So I am just gonna go for a Trailblaze. He does Quake, maybe predicting something else to switch in. Holy crap! I did 200. That's banded. That is the most banded Swampert I've ever seen. Luckily, Trailblaze knocks him down very low. That had to be banded, right? Like, max attack is doing 130, 140, so it would have to be Adamant banded, or like Jolly banned. I'm just looking at Jolly real quick. Worst case scenario. No, we always outrun it at +1. And Earthquake always takes it out. Did we see an ability on Weezing? I just realized I was not paying attention. I don't think we did. So we'll just go for another Trailblaze, though. If Weezing comes in, we Heavy Slam it. If it's Helmet, we KO it, but I'm pretty sure it's AV. Or if it's Helmet, it KOs us as we KO it. But I am, like, 99% sure it's AV. That's huge damage coming out of Swampert, though. I really thought he'd bring, like, defensive Swampert, honestly. Does double out. Hopefully Weezing. Doink. Who is Doink? I could have Earthquaked this. I should have Earthquaked this. We will Trailblaze again. So if we're at +2, this Delphox has to be max speed to outrun our... or near it to outrun Donphan. So I am just going to go for a Quake. Even if he's a Terra, it's fine. He is a Terra. I should have Quaked there, but I figured the Weezing was coming in, but I guess that doesn't matter, right? Yeah, that was a misplay on me. I definitely should have Quaked, because I could have Heavy Slammed the Weezing the next turn anyway. It's Terra Fairy. I should be taking notes. Flamethrower. Does KO. So he is max speed, which is good to know. He's not very bulky. So now what do we do about a Terra Fairy Delphox? I think we could bring Cinderace in pretty much for free and court change the rocks away. We do threaten it pretty well. Yeah, if he's Terra Fairy... So I'm playing too fast, sorry. I'm like really enjoying this game and I played way too fast. Earthquake was definitely our play earlier and it would have just KO'd this on switch in. Pyro Ball almost KOs this now that it's terrestrialized, and it's really not doing more than half to us. So I think we can definitely just go Cinderace and move the rocks to his side. Adversely, we go Screamtail. But I think Screamtail actually loses us more than it gains us. So we'll just go into the Cinderace. He could be scarfed, and this would be a good time for us to confirm whether or not he is scarfed. So I am just going to go for the court change. The only way this... I guess if it's Focus Blast, it's a problem. If he predicts our court change normal type. Otherwise, this is doing like 50-ish%. Oh, this isn't even my Cinderace build. Now that I'm looking at it, I just picked the first one. So we're taking slightly less because we have a little bit of health. Oh, he took... oh, Trailblaze chip. Sorry, I thought that was a Life Orb chip. Really should have Earthquaked that, man. Would have absolutely blown this thing back to switch in on Earthquake. So Delphox as Flamethrower and is Fairy Terra. Does switch it out, so we do get our court change. What does he bring in? Swampert comes in as the sack. We will court change. And you can have those rocks. I don't want them. So now we can check status. He now has rocks on his side of the field, and I do not. The Swampert's chilling at like 20%. So knowing that we are not going to get a boost from Libero. Low kick may not KO. Actually, it's not bulky, right? It's at most max HP, so low kick should KO here. We will go for that. Oh yeah, we do KO. It's holding my breath a little because like max HP Pert probably gets KO'd, but it's not guaranteed. So glad to get rid of that. Valiant really could come in here and start causing shenanigans, but I'm just gonna try to hit it in the face if Valiant comes in, to be honest. So he's got Delphox, he's got Iron, Valiant. He's got the Heatran chilling at low health with Stealth Rock. I did show off my low kick. I just did not see a reason to hide that, really. So Cyclizar comes in. We only know it has U-turn, and it's not super attack invested. And then if we look at our teams, Valiant's the only thing that hasn't come in. We know Wheezing, Strange, Steam, and we know that it's like max Spadef AV, probably. Heatran was probably Sash, maybe. Not positive. Cinderace into this Cyclizar. Maybe he tries to spin the rocks away. I actually didn't see if he took Rock's chip when he switched in. Wow, low kick is doing crazy damage to this. So I will just go for that. I don't think he can KO us. He does just drop a Draco. It does a good chunk, like 200 damage, 210 odd damage, and low kick knocks him out. So looking at that Draco damage, yeah, he was like a max special attack and probably mostly max speed, probably Scarf to help deal with the Wake. Brings in, I assume, Valiant. Yeah, Valiant comes in. Are you booster? Booster? No booster. Which makes me a little scared because it has to be Scarf now. To outspeed me because I'm faster than all Iron Valiants otherwise, I think, unless I messed up my speed. No. We're always 1 point faster. And Pyro Ball is doing like half. He definitely could try to set up here. I could taunt to prevent any kind of setup shenanigans. It is safer than clicking Pyro Ball. I mean, I could also just go into Scream Tail. I think I can just taunt, though. I think it's safer. So he's Scarf. Scarf knockoff. So now we kind of have our choice of switch in because we know he's Scarf knockoff. We don't have to be that scared. Cyclizar is gone now. So that leaves 3 Pokemon that don't want to switch into a Terra Water Scald from Sinistcha and a Delphox. So Delphox is kind of our last big problem. It might be Specs. There's no real way for us to know. We just know it's max speed. I think this is nice because if he does knock us off, we do have the Rocky Helmet, so we will do extra chip. And I want to say we always take 2. Like, I'm almost sure we always take 2. But I will calc it just to make sure I didn't just throw a little bit. So, Iron Valiant, Swords Dance, we'll just say max attack. Knockoff is doing 50% before we Terra. It's doing like 25% after we Terra. So we'll just Terra and Scald. He does stay in. So this may not KO him, but what we can do is actually Strength Sap next turn if Helmet plus Scald don't KO. So we do get Terra Water. He does knock. He does considerable amount. I feel like that might actually be Adamant based on that damage. Do get a Scald. Doesn't KO, but that's totally fine. It does get the burn, which fortunate. Go figure. Sinistcha gets a burn, and it's not even a Matcha Gotcha. I will try to take full advantage of this by healing, right? So I guess the biggest problem for us now actually is the Delphox. If it's Terra Fairy, Terra Blast, and it's Choice Specs. Yeah, it's doing a good chunk, honestly. But we are also doing a good chunk back. We could set up a Calm Mind here, but if he goes... I mean, Calm Mind's not a bad move, right? He might just be sacking this, so we'll just go for a Calm Mind. He does switch. Delphox would have to have Solar Beam. Doink comes in. I think that's the Delphox. It is the Delphox. Does he take rocks? He doesn't take rocks. Okay, he's Boots, which is honestly relieving. Heavy duty boots. We are at +1/+1 now. So we are healing pretty well off this guy. Does Delphox get Encore? That's something I should have looked into. Delphox does get Encore. I think he might Encore me here, but it's no punishment to me if he's not Encore. So I might as well just try to hit him. If he's Encore, I get stuck in a Calm Mind, I go Scream Tail. He's Nasty Plot. Okay, so he's going to try to break me before I can break him. Assuming Matcha lands, which it does, this should do like 50%, maybe more. About 50. And we get pretty much back up to full, which is pretty huge. So he's now at +2. I mean, Terra Blast is doing 55 to 65. If it has Grass Knot, that is doing nothing. We could Matcha Gotcha, or we could Scald. I mean, Water Spam is really good into the rest of his team. As long as Valiant's Scarf, we can't really ever set up with Wake, unfortunately. I mean, this should never be able to KO us, and we can always Healing Wish it back up. So I feel like I like Scald here, just because it is 100% accurate. Matcha Healing is nice. This is tough. I think I will go for the Matcha Healing. Is Gleam. Oh, of course, Gleam is the same as Terra Blast. Should do 55. Yep, just about. Matcha Gotcha comes out, does land. And we get the KO. Sweet. Okay, Sinistcha looks amazing into this endgame now. We only have a little bit of speed investment, so there's a chance Weezing outruns us and a chance Heatran outruns us. So that's a little awkward, but we should KO both of them back with a Scald. So I think Valiant kind of has to come in and click a stab move at this point. Even then, we're like max defense bold, so we should devour it. And it's burned. What am I even worried about? Valiant's not really an issue. So definitely could have made that Delphox a non-issue earlier in the battle. I think we did make a big misplay not going for Earthquake, because Donphan, Earthquake KOs everything, or does a huge chunk to everything, except for the Wheezing. Who does come in? Don't know how fast this is, but based on the damage it took from Wake, it makes me think it's just HP and Spadef, which means we should outrun it. I don't think there's any way that a Wheezing could simultaneously eat a hit from Wake the way it did and have any kind of speed, honestly. And it would need a considerable amount of speed to outrun us here regardless. So we'll just go for a Scald. We could Strength Stab to heal on it, but I don't really see the need. Okay, it does KO. Nice. So sinistcha is taking lives. Leftovers would have been nice, but I guess we would have been knocked off at this point, so the helmet was kind of our best bet. I think Cine does just run away with the game unless he transpacking Power Herb Solar Beam, but if it was, I think he would have went into it earlier. Heatran does come in. And yeah, Earth Power is doing something like 25% to us at this point. Scald is easily KOing. Should be totally fine. Goes for Earth Power, let's see, 25%? Okay, it's offensive. Good to know. We'll go for Scald. Goodbye, Heatran. And man, I love sinistcha so much. If you haven't tried sinistcha in draft yet, I cannot recommend it enough. This is my favorite Pokemon in draft. I don't even know if it's from just this generation. I have loved using it so much. It's such a no-think Pokemon. I just love it so much. So would highly recommend. So we will go for Scald here. I guess a CC crit could KO. No, not even a crit would KO. So we do manage to take the win. Pretty good win. We did sack both Donphan and Cinderace, but I thought it was kind of for the right reason to help us confirm sets, make sure that my opponent's running a bunch of speed and not a bunch of bulk, which is always nice to confirm. And we do walk away with this one with a 4-0. So we don't go 4-3. We're back up to 5-2. A little unluckily for us, our last two opponents, I believe, are two of the top 3 seeds, with the other two being myself and K Savage, who won last week against me. So we've got our work cut out for us. We could very well go 5-4, but I'm going to try my best to make it 7-2. I hope you're enjoying, and if you wouldn't mind to leave a like or subscribe if you made it to the end, I would absolutely love that. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week.